Hello, guys, and welcome to I've Got Something to Say, Tales of an Awkward Woman. Um, Thank you guys for tuning in today. Do me a favor, like and subscribe to this channel so that way you won't miss not a bit of content that we're going to be putting out. Today, I have a special guest with us. Her name is Lakeia Ray. You guys are in for a treat. I believe she has some really good wisdom to give us on today. Lakeia, thank you again for coming on. Let's just dive into this, okay? So, could you share with us an experience you had while dating?
Okay, now what kind of dating? Because there's different type of datings. There's dating in Christ and there's dating outside of Christ.
Outside of Christ.
Outside of Christ. Okay. I started dating kind of young, only because of absent father, and so many different things went into why I picked what I picked, and why I got myself in some situations that could have been avoided had I had identity as a daughter, and I would have picked different guys to date. But I'll start off with my first quote unquote, and I use quotation marks because what we consider as females as a real relationship, guys don't. They don't, they're not equal, they're not equivalent, they don't measure up the same because we get our emotions tied into it. And most of the time they're absent of emotions. But I was 16 years old and I was dating somebody older. I believe he was about 8 or 9 years older than me. Yeah. So, and it was more of an infatuation and very much derived in lust. And because I was young and the older guy took interest in me, and it was like, wow, what does he see in me? First of all, what does an older guy see in a younger girl? That's a problem. That should have been a red flag, but him being older than me and the feeling I got being wanted, being admired, and the attention that I got, not just from him, but from onlookers and people, even though we had to keep it a secret from family, but outside friends knew, and a close friend of mine knew, and the most intimate people that I hung with at that time knew that I was dating him. And we dated in secret. So a lot of things that we did, we had to do hidden, had to do uncovered so that my family wouldn't find out, or people that would have judged us wouldn't find out. And it was an off again, on again kind of thing, because he had children, and he had an older baby's mama. And even though she knew about me, and he never hid that from her, but couldn't do it in front of his children because he didn't want his children to feel a certain kind of way. And I thought it was love, but I didn't know what love was. I thought I was in love. So I was willing to sneak out of my house, say I was spending at a friend's house, to spend a night with him, and to basically do things that I normally wouldn't have done. Like, had I known what it meant to really be in a relationship. And at 16, I don't think you should be in a relationship, not with somebody older. Today, I don't. But yes, so I went into the relationship with the wrong motives, with the wrong reason. I just wanted to feel wanted, accepted. I wanted to feel, and I'm gotta take it back, because where I grew up wasn't hood, but it was hood ratchet. It wasn't like the slums, but it was, you had to look the part, you had to dress the part, you had to be with the certain kind of guy. And where I was, it was drug dealers. So you had to be with a guy who had money, a guy who drove this, and you had to have this in order for people to look at you and respect you. And I think it was more of I wanted to get the respect of the other ladies and girls and my cousins and people that I saw in my neighborhood wearing the latest clothes, getting out of the latest cars, going to different restaurants and different stuff like that. So I went into the relationship with the older guy because he paid attention to me, one, and because of what the attention I wanted to get from others, and that was outside people. So that was a relationship doomed for failure.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Now, I remember being on one of your lives. And there is something I wanted you to talk about, because I know as a woman that is saved and waiting into marriage, I always get asked, well, how do you handle when you want to, when you get the urges to have sex? How do you handle that? And I remember you talking about it on your live, and I was like, that's it. Like, people don't understand we don't get rid of the urges. They're still there. We just have to approach it a different way. Could you speak on that?
Yes. And so when we think of sex, when we think of sexual feelings, and because it's all feelings and emotions, there's things that tie into that. And we have to understand that in order for us to get in a space of, whether it be wanting sex, desiring sex, needing sex, people will call it, quote unquote, the H word, when you get, I don't know if you could say that on here, but
yeah, you can say
when you get horny and stuff like that, people don't take into to consideration that it has to enter somewhere. It has to enter into your eye gate. You have to see something. You have to hear something. Sometimes you can even smell a certain cologne or something. It has to enter into your soul and open up an awareness that, hey, this, I'm getting this feeling. And people will want to live a life of celibacy or want to live a life of purity, but watch anything, listen to anything, be around people who talk profane, people who just talk about sex all day, people who are just, you could be around a lustful person and pick up what they're struggling with, because it's just coming out of their pores. It's almost like you can smell the spirit of lust upon them. And we want to stay in those environments and think that those things won't affect us. It may not affect you today, but it's a seed and it will grow. And people don't want to do that. People don't want to take the necessary steps to crucify your flesh. This thing has a mind of its own, and it'll jerk. You'll get feelings sometimes. You can have a dream at night and find yourself in situations or experiencing sexual urges, and you have to beat your flesh into subjection. And it's not something that's just going to happen. It's not going to say you pray one prayer, Lord, I crucify him. No, this is a daily thing that you're dying to. And if anybody says different, they are lying, because you have to do it constantly. You can't sit up and listen to all kinds of music and think that it's not going to affect you. You can't, there's no way. And we know it's not something you wake up and it pop up and it happens. It's a process. It's a process to this thing. And it'll start with a text. It'll start with a small memory. And you sit there and think about, I remember when, and you feed on it, then it'll be another thought, and a thought upon a thought upon a thought upon, it's going to lead to an action. And anybody says something different, they're lying. It leads. It's a seed and it grows. And if you feed this, the more you feed it, the more it grows. And when it grows, it's going to eventually be an action, meaning you're going to find yourself. And this is not a mistake on purpose, because we don't just happen to fall into it. It's a mistake on purpose, because we purposefully continue to let ourselves feed on the thought. And then you'll find yourself fornicating, masturbating, sitting up watching pornography, something, because it was a gradual thing. It's like breadcrumbs. It leaves lust and pervert. It leaves breadcrumbs, and we follow those breadcrumbs, and we find up going right to the main source, and we find ourselves in situations, and then we're sorry, we're feeling condemned, we're feeling convicted to redo the cycle all over again. So
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We're getting closer to the end of our interview. Could you give my viewers one piece of advice to take away from your overall experience dating, and how they can apply it to their lives?
I would say, and this is to every female, and it applies to men as well, but mostly to the females. First, find out who you are and who you belong to. When we know who we are and whose we are, we approach life differently. We make different choices. We tend to look at relationships differently. When you work on you and your relationship with the Father is intact, then there's things you won't put up with. There's conversation you won't entertain. There's just things that we won't find ourselves in. And that is the most important thing, is to find out who you are, because we only attract what's in us. And people say, I'm only attracting bad. It's something in you that's drawing these people. And when I was saved, but you backslid, and you have them situations. And I would be like, yo, all day, yo, ma, can I get your number? Yo, that's what and I'm like, God, I'm saved. What they see. And I had to go to God, and I'm like, God, whatever's in me that is bringing these kind of people that gives them the right to believe that they can holler at me like that, gut that thing out of me. And then afterwards, I promise you, Kim, I will walk down the street and get nothing. I won't get a whistle. And I'm like, then I had to start questioning. Then you start questioning yourself. Do I still got it somehow? But it was God shielding me. And then I realized that, hey, something was in me. So ladies, if you work on you and deal with insecurity, deal with your father wounds, deal with what you think and appear love to be, because once we are loved by God as a daughter, you will know that love is sacred. You will know that I don't have to go to, cross this boundary. If he doesn't respect this, he can get to stepping. Your whole mindset changes when you know who you are. Identity is key as daughters of God. Identity is key. And I promise you, you will make better choices when you know who you are. 100%.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Guys, that's all the time we have today. As always, like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next week.